Good afternoon and welcome to the Commission Business Meeting scheduled for today, Wednesday, December 9th. Before we begin, would everyone please join me for a moment of silent meditation, please? Thank you. We will proceed with a roll call of commissioners to determine who we've got with us. From District 1.
Commissioner Williams is present in the hearing room.
District 3.
Present in the hearing room.
District 4.
Irvin virtually due to COVID-19.
District 5.
Present virtually.
District 6.
Present telephonically due to being on military leave.
District 7.
Present virtually.
And I am District 2, present in the hearing room. Mr. Butler, will you kick us off, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the Commission. The first order of business would be to set the next Commission agenda session, and staff recommends Wednesday, December 16th at 2 p.m.
Wednesday, December 16th at 2 p.m. I believe that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Butler.
All right. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. With regard to the agendas, first we have a supplemental utilities agenda. Items 1 and 2 on that agenda may be taken together. We have docket number 2015-163E and 2013-298E, and this is a request of Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas for expedited approval of modifications to the Bring Your Own Thermostat program, otherwise known as the BYOT program.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Vice
Items
Chair
1 and
Benson.
2 on the supplemental agenda. Commissioner Caston.
I'd like to combine those and make a motion if I may.
That's fine. Please proceed.
Duke Energy's Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC seek the Commission's approval to their modified Bring Your Own Thermostat BYOT programs. The programs provide residential customers with a credit in exchange for allowing the companies to interrupt service to the central air conditioning systems during times of peak summer demand. The BYOT program permits the companies to add eligible thermostats and incentives to the program and permits the companies to offer payment of incentives through various methods. In recognition of the increased need for load control and peak demand reductions during the winter, the company seeks to provide for the addition of a winter-focused load control component and to suspend new enrollments in the existing summer-only thermostat option after December 31st, 2020. The new component is winter-focused because while the tariff contemplates that a majority of the company's local interruption events will occur during the winter season, the BYOT program will continue to permit the company to interrupt service to cooling systems during summer months to require customers for the 2020-2021 winter season. There is an enhanced incentive of $90 for customers enrolling in the BYOT program on or before December 31st, 2020, and an incentive of $75 for customers enrolling after that date. The Office of Regulatory Staff has reviewed the filings and does not object to the company's modifications to their Bring Your Own Thermostat programs. I move that the Commission grant approval of the modifications in the Bring Your Own Thermostat programs as modified and revised by Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioners, any discussion on Commissioner Caston's motion? Hearing none, we will proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Chairman Williams votes aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Commissioner Powers votes aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Moving to our utilities agenda, the first item is docket number 2019-226E. The staff presents for commission consideration the Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's Integrated Resource Plan.
Commissioners, do we have a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Chairman Williams?
Act 62 of 2019 extensively amended the Integrated Resource Plan, also known as IRP statute, requiring the utilities IRP to be reviewed in a contested case, allowing for participation by the Office of Regulatory Staff and intervening interested parties, and ultimately approval or rejection of the IRP by the Commission. South Carolina Code Section 58-37-40, as amended, provides a detailed list of required elements and analyses to be included in the utilities IRP. This IRP proceeding is the first conducted under the amended statute. As part of its review, the Commission also provides guidance on its interpretation and expectations for compliance with the statute for the public interest. Pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-37-40, paragraph C, subparagraph 2, the Commission shall approve an electrical utilities integrated resource plan if the Commission determines that the proposed integrated resource plan represents the most reasonable and prudent means of meeting the electrical utilities energy and capacity needs as of the time the plan is reviewed. Based on the aforementioned standard, I move that the Commission reject the proposed IRP as filed by Dominion Energy, South Carolina, and that the Commission require Dominion Energy, South Carolina to modify and refile a 2020 IRP. Such modified IRP shall be filed within 60 days from the order in this matter as provided by South Carolina Code Section 58-37-40, paragraph C, subparagraph 3. Dominion's 2021 IRP update is currently scheduled to be filed with the Commission in February 2021. However, updates to Dominion's IRP should be based upon Dominion's final approved plan. Therefore, I move that the Commission hold in abeyance the currently scheduled filing date for Dominion's 2021 IRP update, and that the Commission set a new filing date for Dominion's next IRP update following the Commission's approval of the 2020 IRP. The Commission order shall address the issues with more granularity as needed. And for now, I move that the Commission find and conclude that following major points of modification should be required in the Dominion Modified 2020 IRP and each subsequent IRP thereafter. Again, while the Commission order shall address the issues with more granularity as needed, I now move that the Commission find and conclude that the following major points of modification should be required at a minimum in Dominion's Modified 2020 IRP and each subsequent IRP thereafter. And this is not an exhaustive list. This is just the minimum. 1, Dominion is instructed to remodel the costs of all candidate plans using the specified cost and capacity assumptions recommended by the South Carolina Solar Business Alliance and industry publications. 2, because I believe Dominion used several assumptions that require improvement, Dominion shall rerun its IRP modeling using the set of assumptions recommended in the Solar Business Alliance and Sierra Club witnesses' testimony, and shall include the results of that modeling in its modified 2020 IRP. 3, the short-term action plan included with the modified 2020 IRP should include steps for planning necessary to achieve adoption rates of DSM consistent with the most economically viable and achievable levels of projected DSM. 4, Dominion shall be instructed to coordinate with the Office of Regulatory Staff and stakeholders to begin to establish an ongoing IRP stakeholder process for the purpose of considering and inviting stakeholder input and review of certain potentially complex changes to Dominion's IRP development methodology, inputs, and assumptions, and periodically report on its utilization. 5, the stakeholder process should begin by the time of the filing of Dominion's modified IRP. At the time of the filing of Dominion's modified IRP, Dominion shall indicate to the Commission the composition of current and prospective stakeholders. 6, stakeholders to the IRP actions should be comprised of representatives from multiple interest groups to include residential and industrial classes of ratepayers and the Office of Regulatory Staff. 7, the stakeholder process should discuss selection and implementation of capacity expansion modeling software in the IRP development process. Implementation of risk metrics and other measures to address ratepayer risk in the IRP development process. Comprehensive retirement analysis of Dominion coal plants and other issues as agreed on by the parties to the stakeholder process. 8, Dominion is required to update its planning assumptions relating to the energy and demand forecasts, commodity fuel price inputs, renewable energy forecasts, energy efficiency and demand-side management forecasts, and changes to projected retirement dates of existing units in its modified 2020 IRP and in future IRPs. 9, Dominion is required to include in its modified 2020 IRP and in future IRPs a short-term action plan identifying and describing the steps it will take to implement its IRP during a minimum of the next 3 years. The short-term action plan shall include a graphic representation of the sequencing of its actions. 10, the company shall provide more information on the water outage. 11, the IRP shall illustrate the range of cost impacts to consumers, including both potential additional revenue requirements and bill impacts on the various scenarios modeled. 12, reliability and resiliency must be presented and must incorporate detailed discussion of the reserve requirements needed by the utility, including a traditional loss of load expectation study. 13, Dominion shall explain how the IRP is integrated into other planning at the company by subdivision, division, and departments within the company. Now, beginning in 2021 or as specified, I move that the Commission find and conclude that Dominion perform the following. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but 1, Dominion shall add at least one additional lower carbon option to the 2021 or 2022 IRP update for modeling incorporating additional solar and storage opportunities. 2, Dominion shall work with stakeholders regarding fair inclusion of solar PV's winter capacity value in 2021 and 2022 IRP updates. 3, a rate rider incentive to shave the peak shall be evaluated and shall be documented. 4, for purchased renewable power as well as utility generated renewable energy, Dominion shall be required to incorporate renewable energy options considering the input of stakeholders during the 2021 and 2022 IRP update process. The options should be reflected and evaluated in the modeling process. 5, in its 2021 IRP update, Dominion shall build resource options which meet Dominion's full peaking reserve margin and determine which resources best meet the peaking need. 6, in its 2022 IRP update, Dominion should document how it is or is not prudent to take advantage of the ITC solar or implement a plan to take advantage of the ITC. 7, Dominion shall include performance reliability data as it relates to storm and hurricane-related outages. I further move that the Commission find and conclude that Dominion is also required to provide the following beginning in 2023. 1, Dominion and the advisory group for DSM shall work to evaluate realistic options to achieve greater energy savings and model a high DSM scenario in the 2023 IRP. 2, Dominion shall develop a low to medium and high DSM option and model it in the 2023 IRP. Dominion shall include incentive options and best practices to achieve these levels. 3, Dominion shall continue its coordinated ongoing IRP stakeholder process and report on its utilization. 4, Dominion shall target the 2023 IRP to begin showing coal retirement as another option upon the completion of their coal retirement study. Finally, I move to direct staff to make any other changes needed to effectuate and provide an order consistent with the items mentioned above. So moved.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. Commissioners, you've heard Chairman Williams' motion. Is there any discussion?
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. I just want to note my appreciation for Dominion's initial submittal to the IRP and the amendments that they made along the way and the pledges that they made in responding to the interveners, as well as the short-term action plan that was filed as a late exhibit. The goal, as was noted with an IRP, is to produce the most reasonable and prudent IRP going forward. But I wanted to note that that's going to be true year after year, and each year refinements are going to be made in the IRP that will make it a better visionary and a more reliable planning tool. In other words, IRPs over the years are going to continuously be improved to be more productive and more reliable and more accurate and useful and to aid in decision making. So to do this, we need the best foundation possible for this 2020 IRP. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any other commissioners? Discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to a vote, roll call vote. Chairman Williams.
Chairman Williams votes aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Commissioner Powers votes aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Thomas votes aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Items 2, 3, and 4 on the utilities agenda may be taken together if so desired by the Commission, as they all involve telephone interconnection agreements, and I will name them individually. Item number 2 is docket number 2002-21-C, which is a request for approval of the First Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T South Carolina, and Hargray Incorporated. The number 3 is a request for approval of the First Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T South Carolina, and Fairfield Communications Incorporated. And number 4 is a request for approval of the 16th Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T South Carolina, and Matrix Telecom, LLC, DBA Matrix Business Technologies.
Commissioners, you've heard the dockets listed by Mr. Butler regarding three interconnection agreements or amendments to interconnection agreements. Do I have a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Powers?
thank you, ma'am. Madam Vice Chair, I would move that the commission approve the amendments to the telephone interconnection agreements in items 2, 3, and 4 as identified by Mr. Butler.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion from Commissioner Powers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Powers?
Vote aye.
Commissioner Williams? C. Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Caston?
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye.
And I vote aye, and the motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, item 5 on the utilities agenda is docket number 1999-179C. Staff presents for commission consideration Legacy Long Distance International Incorporated's request to cancel its certificate.
Commissioners, you've heard the docket, the matter. Is there a motion?
Vice Chair Belcher, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Caston?
Legacy Long Distance International Incorporated is voluntarily relinquishing its certificate of public convenience and necessity and requesting that the Commission cancel its tariff immediately. The Legacy certificate was originally granted by Order 1999-823, dated November 19, 1999, and later reinstated by Order number 2018-440, dated June 20th, 2018. Legacy states that it has no customers in South Carolina and that customer notice is not necessary. In docket number 2020-227-C, Legacy Long Distance International requested its customers be transferred to Network Communications Corporation, doing business as NCIC, Inmate Communications. This request was granted on November 18, 2020 by the Commission, and the order is pending. I move the Commission grant the request of Legacy Long Distance International Incorporated by canceling its certificate of public convenience and necessity and its tariffs immediately.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion by Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion or questions? Commissioner Williams? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Caston?
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Item number 6 is docket number 2019-290-WS. Staff presents for commission consideration Blue Granite Water Company's petition for reconsideration of Commission Order number 2020-758.
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Irvin?
But
move we
could
grant.
you, excuse me one second, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Belcher, I've recused myself of this item.
Okay.
I'm going to step out if someone will let me know when we're through.
Commissioner, you don't need to leave the room. You can just not participate in the discussion. Just, if you don't mind. Okay, was that Commissioner Irvin that spoke up?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a motion?
Yes. I move we grant that portion of Blue Granite's petition for reconsideration wherein they request the commission reconsider its ruling that the accounting order that we placed into effect in order number 2020-758 have an end date of December 31, 2020. I further move that the date December 31, 2020 be held in abeyance so that the parties in this case can be allowed to file comments within 30 days from the date of this directive on the question of whether the accounting order should be continued and, if so, when the accounting order should be terminated. I also move that the stay of the company's implementation of rates under bond imposed by order number 2020-549 shall be continued. The stay shall be continued until further notice. I also move that the commission deny the remainder of the petition for reconsideration, inasmuch as reconsideration of the remaining matters were already denied by directive dated September 16, 2020. The earlier petition contained a request for reconsideration with the same matters outlined in the present petition. For those reasons, we're not going to revisit it at this time. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Commissioners, you've heard the motion by Commissioner Irvin. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston. Oh, excuse me, you're recused. Thank you. And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, docket number 2020-274G is the next item. Item number 7, staff presents for commission consideration the request for approval of the agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Mark Anthony Brewing Incorporated and Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Powers, I believe.
thank you.
Thank
Pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Regulations 103 through 403, Section D, the contract must be filed with the Commission within 7 days of execution. Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated timely filed this request for approval. The contract was executed on November 13, 2020, and was filed with the Commission on November 17, 2020. No public interest concerns were identified that warrant modification or disapproval of the contract as filed. It is also noted that the Office of Regulatory Staff recommends approval. Therefore, I move that the Commission approve the agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Mark Anthony Brewing Incorporated and Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated.
Thank you, Commissioner Powers. Commissioners, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Powers.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler, please.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, item number 8 is docket number 2020-125E. Staff presents for commission consideration the Office of Regulatory Staff's motion for partial summary judgment regarding proposed amendments to Section 5 of Dominion Energy South Carolina's general terms and conditions and the Exhibit 1 to that motion.
Do we have a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the commission accept DESC or Dominion's offer to file a modified version of its changes so as to clearly state that it is not intending to insulate itself from liability. The new version should also clarify the utility's intent as to indemnification and address ORS's questions about paragraph B of its modifications, which Dominion has not addressed. This modified version should be filed with the Commission and served on the parties by December the 16th, 2020. Dominion may also file additional testimony on this issue if so desired. Such testimony and/or exhibits must be filed with the Commission and served on the parties by December the 16th, 2020. The other parties to this proceeding may file responsive testimony and exhibits with the commission with service on the parties by December the 23rd, 2020. Dominion and the parties would then have the opportunity to address the matter at the rate case hearing. The commission and all parties would also have the opportunity to address questions to Dominion about the matter, and the commission could rule on the issue in the final order. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Thomas?
Thomas votes aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Caston?
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
And I vote aye, and the motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. The next item is item number 9. This is a request for approval of the joint application of Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC to establish Green Source Advantage programs and riders GSA, along with a request for approval of revised tariffs.
Do we have a
Madam Vice
motion?
Chair.
Is that Mr. Commissioner Irvin?
Yes, ma'am. I move that the joint application of Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC to establish Green Source Advantage programs and riders, GSA, as subsequently modified by stakeholder input, be approved. These amended Green Source Advantage programs are consistent with and meet the voluntary renewable energy program requirements of Act 62. The amended Source Advantage programs enable participating customers to select the renewable energy facility and negotiate with a renewable supplier on the price to be paid by the participating customer for the energy, capacity, and environmental attributes of the renewable energy facility. Green Source Advantage customers may also select a term for participating in the amended programs up to 20 years. The monthly rate selection of the GSA tariffs provides GSA customers the option to select an administratively established avoided cost bill credit option fixed over 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or an hourly marginal avoided cost bill credit based on the company's real-time marginal cost. I further move that this commission issue a full formal written order to more fully explain in more detail the various components of these programs. I also move that the commission require Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress to file their revised rider GSA tariffs within 15 days of the issuance of the full written order using the commission's e-tariff filing system. The tariffs shall be consistent with the findings of the order and with the commission's rules and regulations. Finally, I move that within 30 days after the initial 9-month enrollment period ends for the Green Source Advantage programs, the company should update the commission with regard to any remaining program capacity, which should then be made available to all customers on a first-come, first-served basis. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Commissioners, you've heard the motion from Commissioner Irvin. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, we will proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Irvin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Powers?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Caston?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Item number 10 on the utilities agenda is docket number 2005-83A. Staff presents for commission consideration the virtual media plan for virtual hearings.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Thomas?
I move that the commission require all parties and proceedings before it to indicate the specific information for virtual meeting plans, that is, email addresses and telephone numbers for attorneys and witnesses pursuant to such pre-hearing filings as may be designated by the Commission Clerk's office. So moved.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Mr.
Madam
Butler.
Vice Chair, yes, ma'am.
Please
Item number 11 on the utilities agenda is docket number 2019-362A. The staff presents for commission consideration the final disposition related to the commission's promulgation of regulation number 103-811.5.
Vice Chair Belser.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. I move that we adopt the proposed regulation 103-811.5 as promulgated by the Commission. In accordance with the South Carolina Administrative Procedures Act, the Commission has carefully considered the comments and suggestions of the utilities and interested stakeholders prior to drafting the regulation, as well as during the entire process and related hearing. Therefore, my motion is for the Commission Clerk to file and submit to Legislative Council the proposed regulation 103-811.5 as proposed and drafted by the Commission without change. I so move.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Not voting due to being on leave at the hearing on this matter.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Item 12 is made up of two dockets. Docket numbers 2020-264E and 2020-265E. Staff presents for commission consideration the joint request to hold the current filing deadlines in these dockets in abeyance.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that we appoint David Butler as the hearing officer in these dockets for the purpose of holding a scheduling conference to facilitate the company's and stipulating parties' request for a procedural schedule that includes delayed pre-filing date as proposed in the letter of Heather Shirley Smith, Esquire, dated December the 3rd, 2020, and for further purpose of receiving input from any parties that were not stipulating parties. Mr. Butler is instructed to hold a conference with the parties no later than December the 15th, 2020, so that the hearing officer can provide a report to the Commission on December the 16th, 2020. I further move that the Commission hold in abeyance the current pre-filing deadlines in these dockets in the notice of November the 4th, 2020. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioners, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair. Item 13 on the utilities agenda is docket number 2020-263-E. Staff presents for commission consideration Duke Energy Carolinas LLC and Duke Energy Progress LLC's request for the appointment of a hearing officer in docket number 2020-263-E.
Do I hear a motion?
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Caston.
I move that this commission appoint Joanne Wessinger Hill Esquire, as the hearing officer in this docket. Mrs. Hill is instructed to hold a scheduling conference as soon as practical with the parties so that they can collectively address procedural concerns and work to establish a suggested new procedural schedule in this docket. I further move that the Commission hold the current procedural schedule and hearing in this matter as noticed and set by the clerk in abeyance for 30 days so that the hearing officer can provide a new proposed hearing date to the Commission along with the corresponding procedural schedule.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion of Commissioner Caston. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, that completes the Commission's utilities agenda for this week. Moving on to the transportation agenda, the first item, item number 1, is docket number 2020-196-T, which is the application of Wayforth Transportation, LLC for a Class E household goods certificate.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Vice Chair,
Commissioner Thomas.
I move that the Commission grant the application of Wayforth Transportation, LLC for a Class E household goods certificate. So moved.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion of Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Thomas.
Thomas votes aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, item number 2 on the transportation agenda is docket number 2020-180T. We have the request of Santee Luxury Transportation, LLC, for an extension of time to comply with Commission rules and regulations.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. Santee Luxury Transportation LLC has filed a request seeking an extension of time to comply with the requirements of Order 2020-536 dated August 21st, 2020. I move that the Commission grant an extension of 90 days from the date of the directive for the carrier to comply with the Commission rules and regulations.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion of Commissioner Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Madam Vice Chair, item 3 on the transportation agenda comes to us from docket number 2014-229T and also docket number 2020-213T. Staff presents for the Commission's consideration the request of MXM Investments, LLC, to suspend its Class C non-emergency certificate number 8979A until May 19th, 2021.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. I move that the Commission grant the request of MXM Investments, LLC, to suspend its Class C non-emergency certificate number 8979-A until May 19th, 2021.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler.
Yes, Madam Chair. Item number 4 on the transportation agenda is docket number 2019-58T. Staff presents for commission consideration Darrell W. Clark, DBA MAP 2 Transport's request to amend its Class C non-emergency certificate number 9445 to read MAP 2 Transport LLC.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. I move that the commission grant the request of Darrell W. Clark, doing business as MAP 2 Transport, to amend Class C non-emergency certificate number 9445 to read MAP 2 Transport LLC.
Commissioners, you've heard the motion of Commissioner Williams. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion passes. Mr. Butler?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, that completes the transportation agenda and indeed completes all of the agendas before the commission today.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Business of the agenda is being concluded. We will end this meeting, and the next business meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, was that December 16th at 2 p.m. Thank you.